right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to rank the quarterbacks in the NFC South. So let's get into that. So the NFC South, interesting division. There was one major change this offseason, and that was Kirk Cousins going to the Atlanta Falcons, signing with the Falcons. So, it's going to be interesting. The division's definitely going to be more competitive. Of course, you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning the division last year. Baker Mayfield had a solid year. And Bryce Young gets us started off. So I have him at number 4. Now, he is coming off of a very disappointing rookie season. Now, I think he will have a better year. I think he'll have it because, it's hard to do any worse than last year. They went out and they signed a couple of offensive linemen. They got him a couple of receivers, both through the draft and via trade. They also added a running back through the draft as well. And I think there's some talk that Miles Sanders could end up getting cut, which was a very disappointing signing by the Panthers. But I think and now you got a new coach, Dave Canales, who did very well with Baker Mayfield last year. So, you know what? I think Bryce Young will have a better year, but I'm still going to put him at 4. But like I said, I'm expecting him to have a better year. I still think that I still don't think the Panthers are going to be very good this year, but that's just my opinion. But I kind of like the other quarterbacks better in this division than I do Bryce Young, but we'll see. It's 1 year, but got to see results this year. And players have kind of backed up Bryce Young. It was the Panthers just were a mess last year. So maybe in year 2, they get better results. And I'm expecting that to some extent, but we'll have to wait and see. So I got him at 4. At 3, these rankings here in this division are kind of hard. Because I feel like you could kind of switch around some guys. Like, you can make the argument you could put Derek Carr, at 2 or even at 1. Did have a strong finish to the season last year. Very up and down for the Saints. And Derek Carr got banged up a couple times during the year as well. And this could be his last year in New Orleans, at least from, some of the stuff I was reading, that maybe they cut ties with him after this year. But, and we got him in the chat saying at 3. Yeah, I got him at 3. But I did say that, also, what kind of username is just him? But I get it. Derek Carr did finish the year strong, but I don't know. The Saints, it's kind of like that with the Buccaneers too. But Derek Carr did finish the year strong, but I don't know. I'm gonna put him at 3. Like I said, I think it's close with the other quarterbacks. I don't know. The Saints are one of those teams where I just don't really know what to expect out of them. Like, yeah, Derek Carr did finish. And he said, because that's what I am, him. Okay, all right, fair enough. But anyways, the Saints did finish the year strong. And, if they could have won at least one more game, they would have made the playoffs. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to expect out of the Saints. I feel like they should have gotten a different head coach. Dennis Allen just is not the guy for me. But it's a new year now. So all that momentum, that's kind of out the window. And actually, Derek Carr, he finished barely under 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Did put together a good season. But I don't know. I still got him at 3 right now. But listen, that could change. But at number 2, I got Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's coming off of a year, 28 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Got paid this offseason. I kind of like his supporting cast a little bit more than I do the Saints right now. And look, the Saints got Kamara, but, he's getting older. Chris Olave is a good player. And, you got Rashid Shaheed as well. But I don't know. I feel like, for me, the Buccaneers with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and, Rashad White as well. I like his Baker Mayfield supporting cast a little bit better than I do with uh, Derek Carr. But the right here between 2 and 3, you could definitely, put Carr at 2, put Baker at 3. It's close. It's close. Um, and listen, I was happy for Baker Mayfield last year. I thought he played really well. The Bucs, it looked like they weren't going to go anywhere in the middle part of the season, but started playing better, propelled the Buccaneers to yet another playoff berth, another division title, and they won a playoff game. He's asking, where'd you put Tua? Well, I started doing these quarterback rankings for each division. So right now we're on the NFC South. Tomorrow's going to be the NFC West. So then Friday, no, not Friday. Wait, yes, Friday. Friday we'll be getting into the AFC East. Oh, it's about to be Jalen Hurts. So I actually did put Jalen Hurts at 1. I put Dak at 2. And again, it's kind of similar to Baker and Derek Carr. I like Jalen Hurts supporting cast better than I do Dak. I feel like Dallas just did not get any better. The Eagles adding Saquon, I feel like that's just going to open up the offense more for the Eagles. So, I mean, the Cowboys, I feel like they're going to be kind of one-dimensional this year where Dak's going to have to throw over the ball. And it kind of has been like that, since it really became Dak's team after Zeke started to decline and then left, for a year and now is back. The Cowboys are going to be throwing the ball a lot. The Eagles are going to be, it could be a balanced offense. And also and Dak could take off and run with it, but, Jalen Hurts is, one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the league. So, I put Jalen Hurts at 1 there. But yeah, back to this though. Again, it's a new year, so Baker and the Bucs could definitely take a step back. I'm a little worried about that, but I see him playing well again. And the Buccaneers they ran it back. They brought all their guys back. They re-signed Mike Evans. They re-signed Baker, of course. The guys on defense as well. But yeah, the 2 and 3 spots are very close. You could definitely make the argument for either or. And then Bryce Young is 4. Sorry, Bryce Young, but, he could go out there and prove me wrong, and I hope he does. Because the Panthers, I mean, they got to be kicking themselves a little bit because they got Bryce Young, but look at what C.J. Stroud did last year. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, so Baker Mayfield at 2. But like I said, you could very easily, change it up, put Carr at 2, Baker at 3. But I got Kirk Cousins at 1. I think he has, now we talk about supporting cast. I think he has a very good supporting cast. I think the running game, that's going to help him out. You got Kyle Pitts, who, supposedly the Falcons are moving him around to different positions. So, maybe this is the year that Kyle Pitts goes off. You got Drake London. He could take another step forward, now with Kirk Cousins here. They signed Darnell Mooney, and they traded for Rondell Moore. So, I mean, I guess, you would still take I think you'd still take Mike Evans and Chris Godwin over, the pass catchers for the Falcons. I mean, I know they're getting older, and, we haven't seen Drake London's full potential just yet. Maybe with Kirk Cousins, he unlocks that. But you know what? I think with the healthy Kirk Cousins here, I think the Falcons are the best team in the division, and I think Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in the division. Before Kirk Cousins got hurt, he was putting together a really good season. The Vikings started to play better, and it looked like they were going to make a run and, maybe get in as a wild card team. Now, that ended up not happening, of course, because he unfortunately tore his Achilles, and that kind of derailed the Vikings season, although, Josh Dobbs came in and gave them hope, but that quickly evaporated. I think if he's healthy, he's going to put up good numbers, and I think, the Falcons could win this division. Now, I want the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield to, you know, say not so fast, but, I think if Kirk Cousins is healthy, this team can very easily be the best team in the division. Now, I think there's some concern on the defensive side of the ball, but like I said, if Kirk Cousins is healthy, Kirk Cousins is going to put up Kirk Cousins numbers, and that's why I put him at 1. So, like I said, you could probably make the argument you could put Derek Carr at 1, maybe Baker at 1 because of the season he's coming off of. I mean, Kirk Cousins is coming off of a major injury, so we don't really know how he's going to be. But he's a pocket passer, so it's not like he's not really going to be using his legs that much unless he absolutely has to. So if he gets good protection, you got the young weapons on offense, and you can rely upon your running game as well. Like I said, I think he'll do okay. So just to kind of reiterate, so Bryce Young at 4, Derek Carr 3, Baker Mayfield 2, and Kirk Cousins at 1. Again, it's close. But yeah, ultimately, if you got a healthy Kirk Cousins, I think he's going to be the best quarterback in the division. But that's just my opinion. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll be doing the NFC West, which will be interesting. But yeah, these are my rankings for the NFC South. So let me know what you guys think about these rankings. Who would you put at 1? Who would you put at 1? How would you rank them? I think it's really like 2 and 3. That's the one that kind of stirred up some controversy here in the chat. Maybe you put Derek Carr higher, you put Baker at 3. I mean, Derek Carr actually, like, again, looking at his numbers, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's not bad. It's not bad, but I don't think that tells the full story. There's a lot of inconsistencies throughout the year. Maybe that strong finish carries over into the season, but again, only time will tell. So we are going to take our next break of the show, and then when we come back, we will talk about Devontae Adams. We'll talk about the trade rumors. His agent, spoke out about those rumors, kind of shut him down. So we'll get into that when we return from our next break of the show. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.